Lady Leeanna here with another episode of Wicca for today. And today I have two special guests with me. One is Edgar.
How you doing?
And one of my students for about 7 years. And the other one is Rodney Swindell.
Hello.
Student of about 13 to 16 years, somewhere in there.
Been here a while.
And it really shows with his age. We're not going to talk about mine. Ancient as the day is long anyway. But anyway, no. So you read Cowrie shells, or you're studying them?
Yes, I read them. I only read them on myself, of course, while learning. And I actually, because it's very, very, very complicated and very complex, I actually made myself a little outline to where I actually, can look into and actually read them. And now I actually read them for other people.
Mm-hmm. What are they about?
Well, the Cowrie shells are an old.
Let me move all my crap.
These are the Cowrie shells. Sometimes you find them in, like island places. People make little necklaces of them. In the old times, people used them like a currency. In some of the African countries. Basically, it is a systematic oracle, if you will, based on numbers, and from it you can, while reading it for the client, you can bring out what's afflicting the client, what's causing it, and how to deal with it. And it's marking the deity you're going to need to call upon, what offerings or what sacrifice you need to bring it upon him or her, so that his life can be returned to a balance.
Where did they derive from? Africa, you said?
Yes, Africa. The Cowrie shells readings are done by the priest, and it's actually evolved from an even older form of divination that is practiced by the high priest in Africa, and it's I can't think of the name of it right now. My mind just went blank.
It happens.
It does happen sometimes.
But they derive from Africa. Do you remember at what turn they started being read?
Actually, they started being read whenever they got to Latin America or the New World.
As a form of divination?
Yes.
And that was around what century, or do you know?
During the early slave trades. Oh man. I can't put a
like 1800s, early 1800s. No, it was 1600s or something like that, I believe.
Yeah, we're thinking about the time the coffee and sugarcane plantations were a big deal in South America, Central America.
So probably early 1600s.
Mm-hmm. We need to read back into it.
That is something that we definitely need to read.
We need to go back into history.
And that's why we talk, so that we can come to an understanding that we are ignorant in some areas, and we should always acknowledge that. But the Cowrie shell, what are they exactly? What are they made out of? They are shells.
There are shells that they collect from the sea, and actually you can actually order them. The only difference between the actually ones that you get and the ones that you use for reading is that the back has been removed to either show positive or negative.
Where one side is open, the other one is closed.
Yes, and this part, the positive part, is known as the mouth of the Orisha, and this is where you're actually getting your numbers from that you're going to need to read. Quick example. It's very, very complicated, and actually going in through readings.
What animal is it that creates
these shells? I'm actually not familiar with the animal.
The sea animal, then.
Yeah.
I guess if you could call it an animal.
Maybe a snail?
Yeah, it's the kind of snail, probably.
The type of a snail shell.
Because that's what it kind of looks like, is a sea snail sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can make these into a necklace.
Yes, I said people make them into necklace. We use them for readings. Tabla de Ifa, I just remembered the old oracle that this is divided from.
And how do you begin by reading them?
In the we use 12 shells, 16 shells in all. 4 are set aside. Only the high priests can read in the 16 shell oracle. The priest, me, I'm a junior priest, can only read within the 12. And just a quick example, I'm not doing a reading or anything, because to actually go into a whole reading is a prayer, opening prayer, where we pay respects to the God system, our ancestors, and our protector spirits, both mine and the readers, if I was doing a reading on Rodney, for example. And then, of course, consecrating the ground, calling upon the deities that are going to guide us through the reading. So it's it takes a little time to do it. Again, let me remind you that I'm not doing a reading. I'm just showing you an example of how a reading would carry out. So I don't want the deities getting upset with me for bothering them. Just kidding. Basically, once the shells are handed back to me from the person that is I'm conducting the reading on.
Why are they having them first off? I mean, why do they have them in their hands first?
During the prayer, there's a part of the prayer where I actually hand it to them. They take it upon their hands. They touch their head, their shoulders, and their feet, like in a giant cross almost. And then they're inputting their energy on the shells, into the shells. And, because he's the one that I'm going to carry out the casting to. So then I cast the shells twice. I'm not casting the shell, no reading. And it gives me a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It gives me a 6.
That are showing the negative side?
It's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 that are showing the up. That's the ones to read. The ones that are showing down are the ones that we don't read. Light, dark, positive, negative. They go based on the light and dark. All right, so we have 7 shells up.
That are read as positive, correct?
Yes, ma'am. So these 7s, that would be the first number of the reading. 7 has a lot to do with new beginnings, rebirth of things, the birth of things, the light of things. And then I would cast it again, and it gives me a 3. 3 is a lot to do with obtaining goals, reaching that, or winning over something.
How closely related is this to numerology?
It's based on numbers, and the only difference is that in the sequential numbers, they don't go in hierarchy from 1 to 2. For example, 3 here is bigger than 7. The first casting that I threw that gave me the 7, that's the positive aspect of the reading. The positive aspect of the reading of the number 7 saying that a new beginning is coming, or a birth of something coming that is going to be for the positive. The second casting gave me a 3. That's the negative aspect of the reading. The negative aspect of the reading is 3. It's meaning an upcoming war, not reaching goals, or struggling, or having a fight to attain something. So when you put these two numbers together, 7, 3, positive, the first one, negative, the second one, 3 is bigger than the 7, so that gives this specific reading a negative one. So this is a negative reading. And then we will petition the deity by casting the shells and saying, thank you for a positive reading. Is there anything else I need to know? Is there anything else I need to carry out or need to do? Any offerings? And the Cowrie shells will mark the offering or sacrifice necessary for it to run smoothly.
And the meaning of each number would be the answer.
Yes.
Like 4 might be foundation and stability. 3 might be past, present, and future, or whatever. You would naturally know from your studies of that particular number.
Yes.
Exactly what it's trying to derive at.
Yes, the numbers will actually always stay the same. Just keep in mind that we always read the open part of the shell as the positive, or actually, as
the
they say,
open part of the shell as the negative.
No. It's the light and the dark. I kept saying positive and negative, but within the oracle, we read it as light and dark.
Okay.
So this is always going to be the light. This is always going to be the dark. So anytime that you cast, you're only reading the ones that fell face up as the light.
And you would not read...
And you would not read the ones that are face down. Which
unless you're doing the negative reading?
No. No,
you just never read the darker side.
You never read the darker side, yes.
Okay, so it's there as a balance to help you to
Yes,
have
ma'am.
something to counterbalance.
Yes, ma'am. So the first casting is going to tell me the positive aspects of the reading. The second casting is going to tell me the negative aspects of the reading. And based on which is bigger, the first number or the second number, is how we determine whether it is a positive reading, ire, or a negative reading, is soy bo. If you do get a negative reading, you can always turn it into a positive by, or asking if it can be done by talking to the deity through the shells and asking it what needs to be done to change it up, to change this about. For example, if I would have got a negative reading saying that no, I'm not going to get this job, then I would ask why not, what's preventing me from getting this, and how to solve it. And the deity through the shells would tell you, you know, maybe it is that you're just falling into a negative, or you have a lot of negativity on you, so it's going to hold you back from achieving a new job. So then he'll prescribe to you a solution to it. Might be a different types of herbs you need to bathe in to cleanse yourself, and then go forth to your job interview in a more light, more positive manner.
Right.
And then you turn the dark or the bad into good.
Right. There we happen to have what looks like an apple or a heart to me with a core.
Yeah.
And this from someone who does not know how to read the cowrie shells or cowrie shells.
Yeah. Keep in mind that we read the order of the shells, not the shape.
Absolutely, and that's the point I was really making, is that
Right.
you don't want to fall into the, I guess, the ways of other divination tools, because there's so many divination tools where you would read what is beside another something, or
Right.
or whatever, or two are relaxing here together while the others are far away. You know, there are many different tools that are read in many different ways. These are based on numbers,
Mm-hmm.
as well as dark and light.
Mhm.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
So, how long have you been studying these?
I've been reading the shows. This is my second year reading it. The first one was reading it, studying it, and then about 6 months after I said, okay, I think I can do it, then I actually started reading it for myself. It wasn't until this year that I actually started reading it for clients and getting good results out of it.
Now, aside of the basic information you gave here to do with the numbers, the side to read, all of that, you had mentioned earlier about twins or something along those lines, twin numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that to me.
Basically, if the first casting gives you, let's say, a 5, and that is the positive aspect of the reading, and then I cast them the second time, that gives me the negative aspect of the reading, is basically telling me that you're balanced out between the positive and the negative aspects of things. So that kind of makes my job a little bit more difficult, because you're not doing bad, but you're not doing good either. You're at a stagnation, at a standstill, not moving forward, but not moving backwards in life in general.
Could that be attributed to the idea that, okay, if we went on the same principle, we were talking earlier about Rodney getting this relationship or not getting this relationship, could it mean that he's talking to this person, but it's not getting anywhere one way or the other?
Yes, that you know, the guy likes him, obviously. He has some things he likes about him, but he also has some things he doesn't like about him, and he's not indecisive of whether we could go. And it's interesting you say that, because 5, the number 5, I just said 5, does deal with money, with love, and with marriage. You know, Oshun, that's her number, and Oshun is the love goddess in my path. So yes, that would be like, hey, kind of likes you, you don't. So then once again we can go into the reading and petition the deity and figure out how can we turn this completely into good, so he's not at a standstill.
Right.
And it just might be something like, Ronnie needs to be
Open up more?
be more open,
More assertive?
more promiscuous. You know, anything.
Maybe the person is highly sexual and just kind of holds back because you're not.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're being overly aggressive sexually. And
Might
he
be
wants you to slow down a little bit because he's more emotional or about love.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you figure that part out? Do you cast them yet again, or do you stay with only those 2 throwouts?
No, the first 3 throws are just the opening casting. That's what tells us what is going on, and then we go in an order of things. Next, we would ask how to turn it into a positive, what needs to be done, and or how to prevent it if something is bad, and what will be required of us. So in other words, the Cowrie shells tell us what's wrong, what's causing it, and how to fix it.
And the how to fix it is contingent on whatever deity it appeals to?
Yes. For example, if in this reading, Oshun, because we did get the 5, and let's say, and that is the one, we ask the shelves, who is watching over Rodney in this specific instance. We cast the shells, and it tells us it's Oshun. Then we petition the deity. What can you do? What do you need? Since she's the one that controls everything that is love, marriage, and friendship, she would have the answer to that. So then we would ask her, what is you need? She will either give us a yes or no answer, or in times you actually take hold of the reader and speak through my mouth, which I've had happen a couple of times. Or if she just might, she'll tell you, might take some little empathic magic, like go bring me this offering into this river, and I will help you achieve success in love. And so she'll ask you for that offering, and the child will tell you what offering it is that she requires, and where to take it to, an altar, or the river, or she might say bring it to and leave it in front of you, the guy you like's front door.
Right.
You never know.
You've got to love being made the example in this whole video, don't you?
No, it's okay. It's fine. I'm listening.
But he's wanting that love. He's
yeah.
But
the shows will answer yes or no questions. Will answer what is required, who is asking for it, how to appease their deity, or how to seek help from their deity. It will answer all. And kind of want to emphasize that this is an oracle, and that we are having to look back into the book of what's listed, the hierarchy of the numbers, the offerings that the deities like and don't like,
Explain the word oracle to new pagans and may not know what it is that you're saying when you say oracle.
Well, in oracle, this is a tool that we're using to contact the deity, similar to the I Ching oracle. If some of you are familiar with the Chinese I Ching or I Ching, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Oracle.
It's I Ching, or I've heard it pronounced both ways, actually.
Yeah, and it just basically tells you the positive, the negative aspect of life in general, and what to watch out for, how to prevent it, how to succeed in it, rather than a tarot card reading, which gives you the right answer, but you're actually using your psychic ability to scry into the cards.
One is you're praying the answers, and the other one is you are psychically pulling the answers out from yourself.
Right. Or a crystal ball. Scrying is different than the oracle. The oracle, we're not actually having to use our psychic sense. We're actually using the outcome of the numbers to figure out what it is we're lacking, or what it is we're needing to improve in our lives.
You don't feel that the psychism is actually planned through you to some small degree there?
Well, it is kind of like in the I Ching oracle. It is already pre-written what the numbers mean and what they are. I do personally use psychic ability once I get the 2 numbers and kind of go into detail and tell them this is what I feel is going on, and this is what this number is telling me, and I do pull psychic ability or a reading from it.
Right.
Before
because
continuing.
to some degree, psychic ability is the energy that flows through you. Mm-hmm. And when you're handling these shells, which are an all-natural thing here, you're sharing a vibration with that tool that you're using. Mm-hmm. And here's where I go a little bit into Leeanna teaching. But you're sharing a wavelength, an energy. You're becoming a unity with whatever tool it is you're using, including the Cowrie shells. And so you're feeding them to a certain degree the knowledge that you have in these shells, because certain people that actually read these could have a different perception as to what they mean. Mm-hmm. Maybe not more than likely, but as you grow within whatever tool it is you're using, your mind expands, your knowledge and wisdom, and sometimes you'll add to them a certain knowledge or wisdom that you yourself have.
Mm-hmm.
And so sharing this vibration with them, they would feed on that which is inside of you, including the knowledge and wisdom that you have.
Right.
Do you agree with that or disagree?
I do agree with it to a certain extent. You know, like I said, to me, psychically scrying into the shells with me casting it, and like we said earlier, looking into the pattern and forming out of subconscious mind what the pattern is trying to tell us, and saying it's shaped like a boat, so there's travel coming about. Right. Rather than there's already a pre-recorded something that we need to reference back into, saying this is what it is, this is what this means, and then, like I said, this is exclusively,
I guess different people could use them in different ways then.
Yeah.
But it's ones that are using more psyche that would get the shapes or whatever out of them, where it is pre-written numbers and meanings to those numbers that you're talking about, as more of, I guess, a doctrine.
Right. You know, I'm sure that there are people out there that you know, maybe they picked it up and saw people do it and really just thought that maybe the shapes of it were, and they're successful in the readings of it. But this is the Cowrie shells are specifically to get our answers from this sect or this pantheon of deities, the Orishas.
Right.
Like I worship other divinities besides the Orishas myself, and there have been times where the shells myself said, seek the answer from an outside source. In other words, not from us. But I couldn't ask that deity to guide me through the shells, because the shells are specifically assigned to the Orishas. That is their oracle.
Now, in certain ways, that you know, throwing out shells when you're not calling to a particular deity with other psychics sitting around is the whiplash of whatever other psychics that are sitting around you and do you read symbols might pick up on something in shells that you were holding in your hand and threw out on the table yourself. Here I'm saying something to do with a broken heart and something to do with growth. Does any of that make sense to you personally? Like perhaps you've gone through a turmoiled relationship lately?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely I have.
You definitely have?
Yeah.
But something that you're growing from, maybe you're figuring something out because maybe you've lived a little too loose in love and relationship, and you've somehow got bit a little bit. Right.
And I see I'm imposing my energy on these shells because I'm holding them, putting them out.
And he's paying for it too.
And now Leeanna's able to read
because
the
I'm
energy
seeing a heart with a core on it.
I was seeing an apple, but
I'm seeing an apple heart. I'm seeing a heart with the plug, the stem, where it would be an apple hanging from a tree, but it's been plucked. See? And then I'm seeing another shell in the center, you know, which would be the crack down the heart. So broken heart. So what I'm getting from this is that you might be growing a little bit in love through light and dark forces. You know, something has bitten you in the ass recently.
Right.
And, you know, that's where you could take I guess, a tool of somebody else that isn't reading it in the same way as you, or isn't learned to read in the same direction you are, and actually get readings out of it. And you said something about that earlier, I think.
Yeah, like making it your own, I'm guessing. Like I said, I do use my psychic sense once I'm reading, because I'm reading the patient's or the client's energy while I'm casting the shells, rather than the more traditional Santeria practitioners are strictly by what's in the book. Now, the only thing that, like I said, I do pull from is what Orisha is dictating this reading, what it's wanting or what it needs for it to help you out with this problem you're having with, and that it's answered through the shells.
Well, what is the Orisha of love?
Oshun.
Oshun? It looks to me like he needs to go back and light a candle to Oshun later and talk to her about love and take her an apple.
Right.
You know, because that's what I'm seeing here, people. Is this man, he's been through a little bit of a rough road lately to do with love and relationship. I think the girl's got a bit of a wild side to her.
Right.
And he might have bit the big one.
Right.
But I mean, you know, in all reality, there are certain ways that we can grow from all these tools. like in tarot card readings, I mean, I learned one way to read them in the very beginning, but as time grew on, I added to it and I made it my own, and I, got so much more out of it, including the fact that a lot of people don't add numerology to their divinational tool, and perhaps they should. Like, you're using a lot of numerology here.
Right.
But maybe you should add shape to it. But the thing is a lot of people think one-dimensionally, or go with what you're taught, but be afraid to venture away from that, and that's wrong. I mean, you should always be able to open up in many different ways. With the tarot cards, I'll look at the number in the cards, whether it's at the top of the card in the Roman numerals, or whether it's just looking at it and picking out how many, say, pentagrams are in the card, and I'll say, okay, well, there's 10 in this. It means unity, because numerologically speaking, 10 becomes 1. So you're in agreement with who or what, and it depends on what your question is where you might be able to apply that. And really, I do need to do a show on tarot cards, since I have been reading those for over 32 years and never actually have really covered it on the Witchcraft Wicca channel. Certain things are based, like the Cowrie shells. They have a vast amount of information, but it's implemented behind the numbers. And so it don't show as distinctively, but it is definitely there. Whereas the tarot cards, it's read for face value. And you don't study the numbers or colors, but maybe you studied the meaning behind the symbol in the card. And again, we're talking about the difference between how you read and how I read, which, means basically they both are full of information, but it's where that information lies. Numerology is full of information, but it takes a certain person that can delve so deeply into that meaning, and in that way, where some of us are more able to focus when we have a symbol in front of us or a picture.
Right.
Now, whenever you talk about the new tarot cards of today, and God knows there's 175 decks out there easily.
Yes.
When you look at some of your prettier cards, there's just way too much there. And so much that it seems to just kind of distort how deeply you can look into it. I mean, you get lost in there a lot of the times. But you could take a very simple card, say your earliest decks of tarot, which may have like 4 stars, a blade of grass, and a sword on it, or something like that. And then you could read that 9 ways to send it. Of course, it, like all other tools, depends on the information that's around it, including other tarot cards. Me personally, I like the tarot cards that were dated from, say, 85 to today in the Rider-Waite set. Right. The Rider-Waite set has a good amount of pictures in it and symbols, but it's not overpowering with all the colors and beautification, and it just becomes really confusing to me, distortive, because I'm not able to focus as much on it.
Right, and that's the deck that I've switched to. Prior to that, I was reading the Egyptian tarot, and I had some success with it, but every time I would come and get readings from Leeanna, who reads the writer's deck, I learned to like it better, so I, started...
maneuvered over to that.
Started reading that now.
The way we deal with things, the way we go toward things, it does happen to do with our roots, or what we see, or... because when you go to get a reading, you're not just getting a reading, you're learning a reading. You're learning the cards, especially if the psychic is any good at what they do. They're explaining to you why they see in this what they see.
Right.
And I've been reading for you for as long as I've been teaching you. So, really, I mean, you've probably grown a deep understanding just throughout those readings, and it was easy for you to sway over to the symbols in the Rider-Waite deck.
Yeah.
Anyway, This is Lady Leeanna with another episode of Wicca for Today, and I hope that you've enjoyed today's show with Edgar Versailles and Rodney Swindell.
No.
Why did you look over at him when I said Edgar Versailles? Did you forget who you were? I really hope that you've enjoyed this show and that you've enjoyed our visitors here. And hopefully we can get them to come on for several other shows, more shows in the future. You know, that would be really pleasant. But for now, I bid you farewell. And please, like and subscribe if you've gotten anything out of this show whatsoever. And I would be eternally grateful to you. You take care of yourself and merry part.
Listen.